Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It has been a very long time since my last upload. In the last video I had dropped this car off to a so-called BMW specialist to figure out why this car was not putting any power down and why it was going into limp mode. But before I get into that, I have been working on this car over the past few months, giving it its final refresh with new discs and pads, new shocks, top mounts, and a couple of other bits including Apple CarPlay. So if you want to see my upcoming videos of that, then please do hit subscribe. So getting right back into the video, I had dropped this car off to a so-called BMW specialist, and the reason why I say so-called is because I didn't have the best experience with this place. When I dropped it off, I explained the problem. The car was going into limp mode anytime you would plant your foot, and when driving normally it would drive with literally zero power, and for a 435D which should have around 313 brake horsepower, it felt like it had about 50. So now I'll explain what the garage thought the problems were and what they decided to do to fix it, and in the end of the video I'll let you know how much this all cost, because it was not cheap at all.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
To start, the garage decided to replace both pressure converters. Now this is a common problem on these cars, and these parts do fail. So when they suggested this, I thought, okay, this may be the reason for the problem, because the symptoms for pressure converters failing is low power or no power and going into limp mode, and that sort of fit the bill of what I was experiencing with this car. Once they were replaced, I got a phone call saying the problem is still there, and what they suggested next was to replace the turbo bypass flap. They said they thought this will fix the problem, but it won't be cheap, as it was very labor intensive to get to the part and replace it. So I thought, okay, let me just bite the bullet and get this done. Hopefully this fixes the problem. I can't imagine it being anything else. After a couple of days, once the part was fitted, they took it out for a test drive, and can you imagine, it did not fix the low power or boosting problem. At this point I was pulling my hair out, because like I said, it wasn't cheap, and the next thing they suggested was to either replace or recondition the small turbo. As you can imagine, this would also not be cheap, because they would have to remove the turbo, send it off to a specialist to recondition, and then fit it back in. At this point I wanted to give up and just take the car back, but then I would have spent all this money and the car would still have the same problem as it did when I dropped it off. So I thought, okay, let's just do it. So a couple of weeks went by, the turbo was reconditioned and returned to the garage. They reinstalled it, took it out for another test drive, and I got the dreaded phone call to say still no better than before. Still no power, still no boost, 3 new major parts replaced, a lot of money down the drain.
Oh no, no.
So what they said, they would bring in someone else from a BMW garage, a BMW master technician, to come and have a look at it. So another couple of weeks went by. Finally got a call to say, okay, they think they found the problem. They had conducted a smoke test and they found that there was a hole in the intercooler. Luckily I had already purchased a upgraded intercooler, because my plans with this car was to put a bigger intercooler on and get a remap done. So I had one already lying around at home. I went and dropped it off The next day they fitted it, and would you believe that this fixed the problem?
Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
So I could have essentially saved thousands of pounds and fitted this part myself if I knew that this was the issue, because it's a pretty straightforward job to do it yourself. I paid £175 for that upgraded intercooler off eBay, and the total that I was charged for all this work was just shy of £3,000. But bear in mind that did also include a full service, so a couple £100 for the service, and the rest of that was all parts and labour to fit those 3 major parts on the engine. At the end of the day, it's a learning curve. As with any car or any cars with problems, you live and you learn. You put your trust in companies like this to do things that you can't do yourself, and to help you when you are struggling or have a problem, and you would expect them to have your best interest at heart and not just try and earn a bit of extra money and charge you an arm and a leg for things that your car doesn't actually need. If they had done a smoke test to begin with, we would have found the problem straight away, and I would have saved over £2,500 and fixed the car for 175 quid plus labour to fit the intercooler. But I guess the silver lining out of all of this is I've got a car which has had some major work and money spent on it, on not just the engine but the whole car overall. So although I'm out of pocket, it's sort of a lose-win situation, because my car is literally brand new suspension wise, and all these major engine problems that could potentially happen along the line are now sorted. So that is my little story of how I fixed the boosting problem on this car and how much it cost. I will end the video there. Thank you for watching.